We are now live.
Welcome to our meeting today on February 11th. Let's call the meeting to order. So I'm following my agenda here. Is there anything to report out from closed session?
Yes, we are going to start with the flag salute.
Okay, thanks.
Candace?
Ian, do you have a flag ready for us?
I did. Give me 2 seconds. There we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, now moving down to C3, report out from closed session.
Yes, we have 2 items to report out. One is regarding item B7, which is consideration of classified leave of absence. The board considered 2 requests and both were approved, both with a 7-0 roll call vote. And regarding item B8, the board gave staff authority to negotiate and finalize a lease agreement for the Hopland Elementary property.
Okay, thank you. And for the agenda, we are pulling, scroll down. We are pulling E1 from the agenda today. Are there any other changes? Is there a motion to approve the agenda minus E1? Anybody?
I so move.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Trustee Mulgard, thank you. Okay, and moving on, our student advisor report. Hello, Mason.
Okay, so to get started, yesterday we had another blood drive at the high school and it was very successful and took place in a small gym. Mock trial got first place at the regionals competition and will be advancing on to states, which is very exciting. Everyone is super excited to have sports practices starting up again, and competitions for boys tennis, girls golf, and cross country will be starting up. And then other sports will be happening later in March and April. On normal years, we have class shirts for the homecoming week where each class designs their own shirt and kind of distributes it to everyone to kind of build school spirit. Since we didn't have homecoming week this year, we didn't really get that opportunity. So we've decided to do the shirts anyway, just as something for everyone to remember their class by and keep the spirit alive for homecoming. Finally, we have the new schedule has started it's been about a month now almost, and it's working out really well for a lot of people because it's helping streamline student schedules so that kids who need that extra help in the afternoon are able to get it. And it's also really good for AP classes who have tests coming up in May and might need extra time to prepare. So, yeah.
Great. Is that it, Mason? You're good? Okay, thank you so much. I'm also really excited that sports have started again and that there's starting to be a little bit more activity and life on campus. So that's really exciting to see. Okay, thank you, Mr. Hoppy. Our next item is public comment for items not on the agenda. I believe we have one public comment, Ian, is that correct?
We do, but I do not see that person currently in the waiting room.
Okay, so if that person shows up, let me know and maybe we'll go back to it. Is that acceptable? Can I do that, Deb and Debbie? Yeah, okay. So for now, that person's not there, so we'll carry on. We're now at employee organizations brief reports. CSEA, Lisa, I think you're here. I saw you. There you are. Talk to us.
Hi. Good evening, everybody. Good to see everyone. Everybody's vaccinated.
Hey.
We're super excited school's starting. Everybody's stressed out, but I just want to thank everybody, everyone, everybody for all the hard work. I know Nicole's working her tail off still currently right now. And Deb, just all of you guys, the teachers, the classified staff, everybody has just been working their tail off. And I know this is super difficult time, but it's exciting too. The kids are my kid is super excited. I can't wait to see kids back in school. I don't even care if it's for 2 hours. It doesn't matter. I think that it's going to be so exciting for them to actually get some sort of social emotional skill, and the one-on-one time with their teachers it's exciting. So I'm super excited about that. CSEA has been, we're just chugging along. They put out to the leadership people that I think they are not going to go back to any kind of in-person meetings until September of 2022, I believe is what they said, which is crazy to me, but they're not considered essential. That's what they told them. So we're just, we're doing, right now we're in the midst of scholarship applications for the high school. I think we've received a few. We haven't finalized any yet. I did put it out to our members to take a vote, but we need to know how many we have first. But it looks like we're probably going to just award whoever applies. If we have 5, we're going to award 5 because we need to do that. And then the other thing that we're working on is we think we're going to do a drive-by for our employees week, and because we can't do in-person hugging, nothing, so we're going to do a drive-by. Come in the car, drive by, roll down your window with your mask on, social distancing. We're going to give you some sort of something, goodie bag, and just tell them we appreciate them and send them on their way. So we're in the midst of doing that. And then the Paraeducator Conference is going on currently. It's virtual. So I know that a lot of members have been participating in a lot more of our trainings and such via Zoom because it's easier for them instead of taking their weekend to go down to San Jose and it's easier for them to hop on. So that's been a plus with the pandemic. Other than that, that's what CSEA is doing, and anything we can do to help you guys out and get our kiddos back in school. We're here. Let's go. Oh, and thank you for the training today for administering COVID tests. That was super exciting as well. I feel very fortunate all the time in our leadership in how well organized we are to get stuff done. And a lot of school districts around us are not doing those things. So it's super cool to be a part of that. And I appreciate everybody that put that together. And I was grateful to be a part of that myself. So thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Trustee Nelson?
Lisa, I missed, who is checking out until 2022?
CSEA region, like any CSEA, our labor representatives, the regional people, they can only do Zoom meetings. They can't do any in-person meetings. So any conferences, they have told their employees that they're going to push it out till September of 2022. That's currently as of right now. We'll see if that changes, but I found that kind of odd, but I was like, okay, but not us.
Thank you. There's lots of data that masks work, but that is sad. I hope they make it through it.
I agree.
Okay. Thank you, Lisa. We're excited about school starting too. I mean, it's nice to see your enthusiasm and hear that from your members. So I'm excited about that. We're on item C, 7B, UTA. Mr. Rathie, it's nice to have you with us. Welcome.
Hey guys, thank you. Thank you. Here tonight, I'm pitch hitting for Terry tonight. I drew a short straw. So anyway, hey guys, on behalf of the UTA and all of our members, we want to say thank you for the vaccine. That's huge. That's really huge. We've avoided what a lot of other districts across the country have run into, whereas is it safe for us to go back? By you guys pushing to get the vaccine for us right now, it's gone a lot to bring down the stress level among our members. We're ready to go back. I mean, we've got people, we know it's gonna be stressful the next week or so, but we're ready to go. So once again, on behalf of you,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
I want to thank you. I got my second shot today. Hey, and I saw Zoe there. It just appreciate all, and it was really smooth and slick how they got us through. It was amazing. I was expecting to be gone 2 periods, gone 1. So it's amazing. Everybody to make that happen. That's crucial because other places it's a mess. And so it's gone. For UTA, I'm sure we really appreciate the discussion dialogues we've had with our leadership, with the district leadership, to iron out issues and problems. And I think that's huge. I mean, that's something we did the labor management thing a couple of years back, and I think it's bearing fruit for us. So thank you, Deb and Nicole and board folks that made that happen too. Anyway, that's it for us.
Thank you, Jim. You were a little bit hard, but I feel like I got most of it, and I appreciate what you're saying about the members being excited to go back to school and feeling safe. And we too are really excited that we were able to get this whole district vaccinated. So,
President Van Zant, our public comment is now in the waiting room.
okay, thank you. And so, thank you, Jim. Any questions for Jim before we go to the public comment? Looks like we're not. Okay, so Ian, you want to let that person in?
I have let them in now. They just need to hit *6 to unmute. I believe this is Nina or Nina.
Okay, Nina or Nina. Oh. All right, Nina or Nina, this is the board. You're in our session. We'd love to hear your public comment.
Good evening. I'm calling about educational services. I'm a mother of 6 in the district and an employee. My son is having difficulty with reading. We cannot get him an IEP because you haven't finished the ones from last year. I've done the care team and everything I can do to get him assistance. And unfortunately, I can't get him reading assistance. The school said that they will not open reading programs at the school because the district won't allow it, which confuses me because as an employee, I'm allowed to have childcare at the school in person, but I can't get reading assistance for my son. As an employee, I'm not able to navigate the district to get him assistance. And I feel for other parents out there where Zoom is not working for their child. I implore you to open up reading assistance and reading groups at the school to help these kids that are falling desperately behind. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, she's gone. But thank you, Nina or Nina. And I, if you can still hear us, I'm hoping that you're following up directly with your principal as well on those concerns that you have. And I'm sorry to hear that you're struggling so much. I share your concern. Okay, so I'm going to move on to item. What am I doing? I think we're going to C8, leadership team report. Mr. Osland.
Hi, good evening. Can you
Hello.
all coming in loud and clear on your end there, Megan? Okay. So yes, I would reiterate what Jim and others have said regarding the vaccine and the approach the district's taken. Pretty phenomenal, and I would really give a nod to the superintendent, Kubin. The amount of orchestration and connecting and working channels from backstage, it's impressive and far outshined any of the other districts that I have contact with. So I think we should celebrate that, and along the ways in a pandemic, celebrate every moment that you can. And then reiterating what Mason had offered there, the mock trial, that's our 3rd championship 3 years in a row, and Coach Lefevre and all the students participating. If you haven't seen an actual performance, you know, the live one is fantastic, and I'm sure online, but it is impressive what they do. And they've been doing it for many, many years. And again, championships 3 years in a row. And then Athletic Director Summers has done a fantastic job at really putting Ukiah ahead of our partners in Sonoma County and getting kids on campus really all year. I think Assistant Superintendent Summers is going to share some numbers on that. And our kids are coming on campus, whether it be city or with the school. And it is, as one of the board members mentioned, seeing folks on campus is a very, very big deal. It's the best part of all of our weeks as we go through this. And finally, for the entire leadership team, what I would say is that the effort this week, heading into next week for the return to school, all time consuming. We've been planning and replanning for 11 months, and the day is arriving on Tuesday. And so that's a big, big deal. And for K-6 folks working super hard, and in the special day class as well throughout the district. And so wish them all the luck, and pretty sure it'll go smoothly, because our leadership team, the leadership report really would come down to schedule, more scheduling. Let's build some more schedules. And we continue to do that, but that's a responsive process. And as we reiterate, subject to change. So at the high school, that's really the report that I would offer from the high school point of view. And Mason had mentioned the change at mid-year. And that change at mid-year was really designed to reflect on what we had learned in the first term about focusing the student time on screen and compacting that before lunch, and then being able to provide support during the school day after lunch through the support and the enrichment process. We were not having a lot of luck providing support after school, and we had a lot of support avenues, but being online until 3:30 and then saying get online to get some more support doesn't sound like it would work. And quite frankly, our numbers were way off. And in real time, we were very successful after school actually last year. And so, and the other angle is just really realizing that one-to-one and small group activity on screens actually works. And kids and teachers have reported since that change, pretty phenomenal the number of teachers that have reported, wow, it feels like teaching again. Because the first 3 weeks, the mission was to invite kids in, schedule them, and meet them one-on-one or in small groups. And that one-on-one small group connection, if you haven't experienced it, it does feel good. And it is a social emotional support. It is not being on campus, and that is a better one. And that is really what the schedule change, part of building schedules is also looking ahead at what may happen in the future. And for us that afternoon, it's the angle, and when we go back in hybrid, it's the angle that we're looking at to easily access and be able to coordinate with the rest of the district and transportation and get as many kids on campus as possible. So the mid-year schedule was part of what we were doing, and then that leads to the hybrid schedule. And for the high school, as you know, we need to be in red tier, and conditions met within red tier. Those numbers are pretty stringent now. They may change. Everything has changed in the last 10 months. But being in red for 5 days will get us there. We've talked a lot at the high school about the timing of when that happens. The later and later it pushes into the year, the more valuable it is to actually retain what works, which in curriculum delivery, the remote learning, it is working if what you need to do is deliver curriculum in essence. And then I would say the second part about what hybrid should do is deliver what we need. And what we need is kids on campus to experience relationships with teachers and with each other, to regain their footing at school, and to receive social emotional support. And the curriculum can be the vehicle, but the attention should be undivided on humans in the rooms and the experience that we're having together. And if we do that right, we're going to be much stronger next year. And as we develop our plan, that's one of the things, that's probably the front burner issue that we talk about in doing that. And the coordination, again, looking at a K-12 district, for the high school, we're coordinating transportation and bell schedules with everybody else. And then we're coordinating what the parameters are delivered by health guidelines. And so our hybrid schedule, again, all of us K-12 have met. And so we're ready to go on that one. And we suspect that there may be changes coming. And so whatever advantages we can gain in the changes that are announced, we will. Right behind that, we're working on schedules for summer. And we really feel like at the high school that we need to pay a special attention to our freshmen this summer. That would be the students that are currently in the 9th grade. They did not have summer academy. They have not been on this campus and been able to experience their campus. And we're looking strongly at beginning our summer, should we be allowed to be back in a semi-normal mode, of really beginning their summer academy as a rising sophomore academy at the beginning of the summer. I believe that we would be serving ourselves and students well if the bulk of the summer was math oriented. I really feel like at the high school, the continuum of math is hugely disruptive in the manner of the pandemic. And so Katie Summer and I have worked for years with the math department, and now we're sort of taking this on as the project, that years and years worth of work is with a group, and really looking at how to improve math. And now we're focused and drilling down on, can we do this in the summer, and really stealing the process years ago in Ukiah, a great program at Alante, and then ending the summer with the summer academy approach to welcome our 8th graders. And we're looking at what we need to change, knowing that our 8th graders are coming off, again, so much isolation among our students. And the last schedule work that we're doing is our schedule for next year. And we had started in the fall of 2019 a process of looking at alternative schedules. Ukiah High School is actually one of the very few schools that retains a 6-period day. And that journey began, and we were looking at models that were 7- and 8-period schools, all of whom had block schedules. Ukiah High School is also one of the few schools that does not have a block schedule. And that work carried on into February of 2020. When the pandemic arrived, we actually pushed pause on that. The last day that we were together as a school, we were scheduled to visit 3 schools in Sonoma County, and they all canceled on us because of that week was pretty harried. And we worked a bit more and then realized that we needed to focus on the immediacy of the pandemic. And we are now back on that and resuming that work. And so this month is committed through parent focus groups, student focus groups, working with the staff. And ultimately, I am working with the Ukiah High School leadership team that is serving as the site-based or decision-making team per the contract. And it's a great group. And we're working together and trying to figure out what are the things that we're trying to solve and how do we make people's lives better with a schedule. And I'm satisfied with the work. The student focus groups were a lot of fun, pretty surprising. Their love of the 4x4 schedule was far greater than I anticipated. And then working with the parents has also been a pleasure. And so it's a good process. And I suspect that in March we'll have my hope is that we'll have a conclusion to bring to you through the superintendent, and that's where we'll be with that schedule. So schedule, and subject to change. Those are the words that we're living by. And I think that all of the schools in the district are probably in that ballpark. And lastly, I would say that every high school that I know of is going through the exact same process that we are. There's a lot of soul searching on scheduling going. And when I speak with them, know that we're not alone. So I thank you. We look forward to coming back too. I getting to the red zone, and then even before the red zone, we have the ability to develop and expand those pods. And that was really part of our intention in this mid-year schedule. But the December surge absolutely put a ding in that. And finals came along, and now we're beginning to rebuild that. And again, kudos to Athletic Director Summers, who runs the after-school programs, and everybody that's working to instill more within the school day. And so again, thank you.
Trustee Nelson, and then I see you, B.
Gordon, thank you for the presentation. I know you guys are burning the candle at both ends. I know when this first quarter started, there was talk about getting kids that were in need of that extra attention. The reason why we changed Bell's schedule was to support those kids. I think the value of having those in-person small pods, well, I can't imagine it's another hurdle that you guys are going to need to take on. I just feel that it's incredibly important, and I hope you guys are able to find some time to get at least some of our kids, especially the ones that are most needy, into the classroom with other students for that social and emotional, as well as education. But that I would give you a high five.
Well, I appreciate that. I think we're in 100% agreement. And I think that, and you and I will probably end up someday, we'll see each other and have a conversation, but know that I think providing the support and part of it, as I said, is that the logic of sustaining the remote learning as it is in the morning allows teachers and students to concentrate on social emotional in the afternoon. Because when a kid walks into a classroom, I would hope that we're not lecturing them. I hope that we're not having kids take notes. And part of our schedule process for next year is really talking to students and parents about what makes education valuable. What do you remember about your education or your kids' education that stands out? And none of it has to do with, I remember how they gave me a lecture, or they gave me this or that. It's about experiences. And my hope and my coaching will be, and has been and will be, I think akin to what you're saying there, which is when they come in, I think support comes in many ways. And quite frankly, I think if you're struggling right now, the biggest, best support you can get is being with other people in that classroom, and being excited and being engaged. And I think all kids are susceptible to that. There is no one definition of a kid that's struggling right now. So.
Trustee Arkin?
Yes, Gordon, what I wanted to say to you is I was able to see parts of the last SSC meeting that you had, which I really appreciated the way you were responding to the little audience that was there, and the questions they were asking about what's going on with the schools and such. I really appreciate that you're going to be hope to have the 8th and 9th grade a summer experience. That would be a wonderful thing. I did have a parent concerned about doing the 4x4 block, block schedule that we've been talking about for a long time, and trying to explain to the parent that this wasn't just out of nowhere. I know that you're going to be having, and are you now having meetings, or going to be having meetings with parents? Is that what you were saying in explanation? And if so, the parents that you have been talking to, how have they been responding to that? Because this particular parent felt that it was too overwhelming a schedule to start new after the pandemic.
Right. So we did have 3 parent focus group meetings in English and 3 in Spanish. I think the attendance range was anywhere from 0 to 15, and so the sum total, maybe 30 or 40 parents total across the board showed up beyond that site council meeting. And for focus groups, I don't think that's a bad number. Very engaged people. You don't just show up. We had put the word out to everybody, and including our incoming families. And there was one parent that was very concerned about the 4x4 schedule, and then there were many parents that were very, very favorable. And it was interesting to me because I honestly, the 4x4 schedule started as a response to the pandemic, and it was announced as a response to the pandemic. And it's very common, actually. I was surprised how many schools, we had made the decision before many others, or at least I was aware of it. Now, many, probably most schools do have the 4x4 or a 3x3. And the curiosity to me is that I absolutely would not have anticipated sitting in a room full of students who also then, the vast majority said, well, we kind of like the 4x4. And they had great reasons for what they liked about it. There are some very, very large scheduling challenges with the 4x4. And it's probably why very few schools prior to the pandemic had the 4x4. So we're going through a process, and I've been asked is whether we're going to just take it off the table. And my feeling is when you go through a process, and we'll have 2 rounds of parent and student focus groups, that we need to go through the process and allow the leadership team to consume the information, look at the research, and look at our options, and let's not take things off of the table. I think we need to go through the process that the team designed. But I am surprised by the favorable reviews, and I am not ignorant of at least one parent that appeared and was very concerned about the 4x4 schedule. I respect all of it. That's what the process is.
Right. Okay. That's what I felt. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know this is a little bit longer than normal, but any other trustee comments? Otherwise, I have something brief to say. So, thank you, Mr. Oslin. I appreciate this information, and for what it's worth, I really appreciate the 4x4 schedule as well. I see some serious advantages to it. But I did want to address, and I know you're speaking carefully because so many things are unknown in terms of both this year and what's going to be possible in the red tier, and the summer, and next year, and the after school. Like, everything is still really kind of in flux, and I want to just first extend my sympathy and empathy that I know you guys have been going through a lot of change, and it's super hard, and I'm sure you're all really, really tired. I do want to just say briefly, I am a little concerned about, I just want to make sure, and I know we're all saying it, but I'm not seeing it appear, in practice as much as I would like, is like the actual number of kids, amount of time on campus as like the absolute highest priority. So I understand that it looks as if you're feeling as if just the morning's going to have to stay where it is online instruction throughout the rest of the year, no matter what. And I would hope we're really looking at that really closely. And that if there is ways to bring kids on campus, even in the morning, I'm hoping that those are going to be looked at, because I just feel like this board's been pretty clear, the majority of the board, all the way back from the summer, that our goal is to get as many kids, as much time as possible on campus, no matter what. And we've got money. If the issue is money, ask the board for the money that you need to make it happen. But that's so important to all of us. And actually, I shouldn't speak for all of you. It's super important to me, but the behavior of the board so far leads me to believe that the majority of the board feels the same way. I know you know that. I just wanted to have the opportunity to say that in public as well.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and thank you. And that message is not lost at this end. And when I said subject to change, to me, what that means is that if the parameters and the guidelines change, we'll respond to those. And I think they're pretty prohibited that in working with other schools, and we manage the transportation. There are parameters on that, and so we work together on that. I hear you, and we'll take advantage of every opportunity and every avenue that we do have. And we have started. We did our first survey this week of a very fast spot survey. And part of the intent in that is that the percentage of students that want to remain remote is actually a very critical number, because the entire machine sort of circulates around who's doing what. And so we're doing that as well. And the intent of that is to be responsive to the concerns that you've raised there. And so your message is received loud and clear, and we'll be as responsive as we possibly can be.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that was item C8, and now we're moving on to item D1, approval of charter school performance audits. And I believe we have people we need to enter in, Superintendent Cuban, do we?
Yes, and as Ian is doing that, I will just introduce this item. We bring this to the board every year. These are just the annual performance audits of the charter schools, and they've been in the packet, and we are recommending that the board approve the charter school performance audits.
Okay.
And charter school principals are coming in. Hello and welcome. And again, just want to say that staff is recommending approval of these performance audits.
Got it. Okay. I don't, I see what's going on. We've got, so far we have the principal from Redwood Academy. Do you want me to give another moment for the rest of them to join, or should we carry on? Looks like we have somebody else here. Emily
of River Oak Charter School. She's the new principal superintendent of River Oak Charter School.
Okay.
And those two were the only two in the waiting room. President Van Zandt.
Okay. So the way I was going to welcome Emily and Elna, what I was going to do, trustees, was just go, there's 4 of them, just say any questions or concerns about each one and just pause for a moment to see if there are, and then maybe approve them as a group if there are not. So I was going to start with Accelerated Achievement Academy. Does any member of the board have any questions or concerns or comments, or Superintendent Cuban? Okay, I'm looking at everybody's faces, not seeing anything. Okay, so it looks like we're just, nope, okay. So second charter school performance audit we were looking at is Rebel Academy of Ukiah. Checking the board here. Not seeing any comments. Okay, so we have River Oak. So this means we all read the performance audits from beginning to end and feel really comfortable with everything that's in them. And then we also have Tree of Life. Any questions there? Okay, so.
I have an overall question.
All right, okay. So we have no individual questions. If there's some general comments, this would be a good time for that. So Trustee Mulgard.
I just wanted to bring up the issue that we discussed at the board a number of times before, trying to figure out how we can support these charter schools to ethnically, demographically, and socioeconomically reflect in their population, the population of all students. And I know that at least one of the comments from one of the schools addressed this more in depth than I had ever seen them address it before. So that was certainly good news. And I don't want to sound like we're threatening, but I'm trying to figure out, clearly I should have thought of how to word this before I started talking. But here's the deal, that we've been saying the same thing many, many times. So we just want to express that I'm going to be asking the board to investigate further what are our legal options when you do come up for renewal. So this is just kind of saying that I, as one board member, will be looking at what remedies are possible if there is not slow and steady, or not slow, but if there is not consistent progress toward properly reflecting the demographics of the district.
Any other comments from trustees? I'll speak specifically to that same issue that Trustee Mulgard brought up. I do want to I want to specifically call out River Oak. Your letter explaining all of the really in-depth work you've done was really appreciated. I was really happy to see that, and I think I really appreciate that you definitely this year it felt like you were really going above and beyond to try to understand why your demographics didn't reflect it, and then you know, address that. So I really appreciated that. Thank you for doing that work. And I do want to be a little bit more specific, probably following up on Trustee Mulgard. We did recently learn from our legal counsel that a board could require a district to give enrollment preference to an underrepresented demographic group. I didn't realize that was a possibility. So it was something that was interesting to some of us. I don't know whether it would make a difference or not, but it was just a strategy that we didn't even actually know was possible that we could request as a condition of a charter approval. So I'm not saying that we would necessarily be going in that direction, but it was just a tool we didn't realize. I didn't even realize you had that opportunity to do that as a charter school. So it was just an interesting option for us to know was possible. But again, that is an issue that we've all looked at. I appreciate you, all of you, you know, alluded, and some of you much more specifically, to the efforts that you've made to have your school reflect the demographics, and I really appreciate that. And I will say, I did note, just for the record, that Accelerated Achievement Academy does pretty much reflect the demographics of the district. And so great for them for doing that. And I appreciate the efforts of the other schools that are making those same efforts to try to get to that same place. But since the two of you are here and you sat through our meeting, is there anything you briefly want to say, Emily or Elna? Nope, you're good. Okay, thanks. I'm sure it's been a hard year for all of you too. It's been like super crazy. So thank you for doing the work to turn in your audits this year and do that work. I know all of us are super exhausted. I'm sure you share that same thing. And let's hope you're able to get your students back to school too.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. So can we have to make a motion to approve this, Deb? Okay, is there anyone that is willing to make a motion to approve the performance audits for the 4 charter schools?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Moved by Trustee Mulgard, seconded by Zoe Fernandez. Is there all those in favor? Aye. Abstentions? And noes? Okay, unanimous approval. Thank you, and thanks, Emily and Elna. You can carry on with your evening or watch. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Okay, thank you. Okay, so now we're moving to item D2, approval of supplemental and concentration grant funded positions from the strategic plan for 2021.
Yes, this was on the agenda at the last meeting. And the documents are the same as they were on the last agenda as well. This is the board's opportunity to give us any feedback or any concerns around different positions that we're planning to fund for next year. And these come out of the approved strategic plan. And we know we're going to be updating the plan in the next month as well. So we may come back to you for more, but we were hoping that you would approve these positions, the continuance of these positions.
Any questions from the board? Trustee Barrett, you're muted too.
Thank you for telling. I would just like to say that I really appreciate and applaud the change in the one position, the math, STEM, TOSA position, to concentrating on math in elementary or through 6th grade. I really applaud that. I think that will help our math teachers at elementary become stronger, and I appreciate that focus.
Yes, and our leadership team definitely we discussed all of these positions with them, and they made that suggestion, and it's a very good suggestion.
Any other questions? So I'm not kind of, that's just a question, Superintendent Cuban. These are the funds, these are the positions we're funding with our supplemental concentration grant.
That is correct.
And just remind me of our path here. If you just follow the news even mildly, it's clear that a lot of new funding, kind of one-time funding, but who knows, is coming to school districts to make up for learning loss and such like that. What is the practice in which we're going to be, I assume some of that funding may fund new positions, maybe, I don't know. And what's your thought on that? It's just a sort of, we're in uncharted territory we haven't normally been in with this kind of situation.
Yes, it's all a little backwards than how we're used to doing things, but we do anticipate there's a proposal right now for the state to allocate to districts additional funding for learning loss, summer programs, that sort of thing. And our projected amount that we would get if the proposal goes through is a little over $4 million, and which would help us with any sort of student supports. We would come back to the board. Obviously, we go through the process with our stakeholders and also get input from the board. And then ultimately the board would approve the expenditure of those funds. And then we also expect more federal dollars, approximately $5 million in addition to the 4, to help also with the pandemic. And I don't know what specifically those are earmarked for yet, but we anticipate getting additional dollars. And it's never a great practice to use one-time money on ongoing costs, but it does help us with some of the feedback that we might get in the next month about things that we want to continue next year that aren't yet in this plan.
Okay.
Right now, we're about to roll out our annual staff survey and our parent survey and our student survey, and we've added a couple of questions on there to collect some data around during this pandemic and through distance learning. Are there things that have really been helpful, that have helped with learning or social emotional support, or helped with your family, that you'd like to see continued when we're out of distance learning? So we're trying to gather some of that, and then we have a team that's going to come together that worked on our strategic plan last year. We're going to reconvene them to really look at all of that input, look at our data again, relook at our strategic plan goals that we created. And our plan is to bring a draft back to the board in March.
March, like next month?
Yeah, we have a pretty ambitious timeline.
Yeah.
And again, that would just be a first look at it. As you know, we try to put things in front of you for a few months in a row while we're gathering stakeholder input. So it would just be an initial look at it. And then of course, we also have the work of our equity task force. So there may be some professional development needs that come out of that work. So anyway, we do have some large pots of money that we think are coming forward that we can look at for a variety of things.
Okay. And I mean, the only reason I bring it up, and I don't want to talk too long because I know we have things to do, but it's such an unusual situation, and I've seen it in my own workplace where large pots of money come and they need to be figured out quickly, and the traditional ways that we're thinking have to be thrown out the window. And so, I mean, I just know that when we've looked at funding streams in the past, we're like, oh, we could have more teachers in special assignment. Or we don't have a lot of teachers to spare anymore. The whole state doesn't have teachers to spare, much as I think that's like a really valuable investment. They just might not literally exist. I think about some of the teaching positions we were unable to fill this year. And so I'm just hoping you're structuring something in the middle of all the chaos that you have that's enabling super outside of the box thinking, because I think that's what's going to be necessary.
I agree.
Okay. Back to this. I was just going on a tangent because it was about money, but back to this. Do you need a motion?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I have a motion to approve the supplemental and concentration grant funded positions for 2021-22.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Mulgard, seconded by trustee Arkin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, looks like unanimous ayes. Anybody abstain? No, and no nos. Okay. Motion approved unanimously. And now we're on item D3, distance learning update.
Yes, so that is Assistant Superintendent Summer, and I will be running us through this. Some of the slides you've seen before through other presentations, so we'll probably quickly go over those, but we did want to give you an update on where we are with distance learning and then shift our focus to reopening. So there we go. We're getting this up in just a minute. All right, there we go. So Katie and I will be tag teaming this. Katie, if you can scroll forward there. We are in the 22nd week of distance learning this school year. Our students have been off the campuses physically for 11 months now. Next week will be 11 months. But as everyone has in their reports in the beginning, we are very excited to start our reopening process. And on Tuesday, we will start reopening preschool through preschool through second grade on Tuesday, and special day classes, and as well as sixth grade at Pomalita and fifth grade at Eagle Peak. And then the following week, we will open everything through grade 6. According to the guidelines, grades 7 through 12 cannot open to in-person learning until Mendocino County is in the red tier and stays in the red tier for 5 days. So that's where we are with reopening. We continue to do parent outreach through phone calls, and not just phone calls, but also home visits. And then classroom visits. We've 1,606 calls and also home visits, and then 1,602 classroom visits. And then Big Picture at South Valley High, they met virtually with each student and their parents for their Big Picture exhibitions. So they've met with 124 students and their families. Go ahead, Katie. As Principal Oslin was talking about, we have a lot of on-site learning pods happening as well. Currently, we're serving over 600 students in on-site learning pods. I won't go over every one of these, but we're serving kids in a variety of ways, both academically, through internet hubs for kids who don't have reliable internet. We've got those at Pomalita, Eagle Peak, and Nokomis. And then on the next slide, you can see the sports conditioning and sports that have started. I know it seems strange. Katie, if you can scroll forward. I know it seems strange that we can offer sports after school, but we can't offer school in person. And that is just in the guidance. And again, we are trying to get our students everything that we possibly can under the guidance. So you can see the sports that we have going on right now and conditioning groups as well. And so we're serving a little over 600 students in person right now. And we have served about that many since October of last year. And I want to thank the board for your commitment to funding after school in-person activities. We also continue our partnership with Space, and we are funding kids who are participating in the Boys and Girls Club as well as and the City of Ukiah Safari program. We've got those planned through March, and then we will go from there to see what the needs are.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie. Yep.
Can I catch you before you get too far away from the sports?
Yep.
I'm wondering, I see wrestling there, which having been turned to pulp when I was growing up, I know what the contact is like there. How is that being addressed? Those close contact sports, how's that being addressed?
So those are only conditioning. So the sports that cannot occur in the purple tier, like wrestling and basketball and football and volleyball and soccer, those are actually conditioning. So I do believe we have boys tennis going on. We probably need to update our list and get with the high school on that. Because I know that there boys tennis is happening right now as well, and I believe golf. So we'll get this updated from Stephen Summers. And but if you see something listed on here that is not in the purple tier, the actual sports are not happening. There's just conditioning going on, after school conditioning. So like the basketball, they're out on the track doing outdoor conditioning and running and drills and stuff like that. They're not actually playing basketball. Go ahead, Katie. Katie, do you want to talk about the grades?
Sure. So the grades that are represented here are first looking at for middle schools, a comparison from last year at the same time. And you can see we have Eagle Peak and Pomalita, and then we've combined those scores, percentages. So these are the percentages of students who failed one or more courses. And at the prior meeting, we shared progress reports. So this is the kind of follow-up to that. So the percentage of students that have one or more Fs has declined from where we were at progress reports. So that's good. And for middle school overall, the percent for 2021 is actually a little bit less than it was in 1920. So we have about 10% of the students right now.
And Katie, I really want to express gratitude to our teachers for really thinking about the circumstances that kids are in related to this pandemic and their learning, and really acknowledging that through their grading practices, that kids are struggling. So I know that some teachers adjusted their grading practices and because many of our students don't have control over what's happening in their homes. So we appreciate that.
Then if we look at Ukiah High School, looking at comparing last year's first semester to the first term, you can see that they're almost the same, slightly lower, a little bit higher in our 12th grade. And again, you know, we're closely monitoring our seniors and their grades to make sure that we can support them in this semester to ensure that they graduate.
Katie, going back one slide, well, no, 2 slides. It seems like there might be some inconsistency. The second column of EP looks completely different than everything else on the page.
Yeah, they worked really hard with their staff and students. So that I'll double check that number, but I think that number is correct.
Well, I don't see how it could be. Statistically speaking, that's an impossibility.
Yeah.
I'll just add, Trustee Mulgard, that some school districts actually made a policy about not giving Fs, not failing students during the pandemic. I know LA Unified did that. Santa Rosa City Schools, they completely changed their graduation requirements to reduce the number of credits that are required to graduate. We have not done that. You know, we have not wanted to. In the spring, we did some. We made some decisions about grades, and kids got a little bit unmotivated, and we did not want to repeat that. So anyway, the staff has just worked really hard to think about the grading systems and during a pandemic.
And I don't care if the will of the group was to not give Fs or whatever it might be, that's great. But it just doesn't seem fair to me when kids or parents or teachers start looking at what happened in middle school. It's not going to be a fair comparison.
I do want to echo what Trustee Mulgard's saying here. I mean, if we had, or an individual school had made a policy decision that it wasn't patently fair to fail a child during remote learning, that certainly is you could justify that choice. I just think we probably should be explicit about it if that was the decision, I would say, particularly at Eagle Peak. And so that's okay. I mean, I don't know if we need to go into it, but it's not that suddenly those students were doing so much better academically. I think we need to be clear about that, that this is probably reflecting a change in grading policy rather than academic success on the part of those children.
That is correct.
And that's fine, but I just think we should be clear and intentional on that, because we don't want to mislead the public about the level of learning that's happening during remote learning.
Yes.
But we should be clear and intentional and consistent, no?
Yeah.
With the district? I mean, unless there was a reason, but it shouldn't just be because one principal feels one way and another principal feels another way.
Principal feels what?
The principals, I mean, they actually cannot change a teacher's grade. So the leadership team talked in depth about grading practices and grades and talked to the staff about it, but the principals didn't change the grades. The teachers always give the grades.
Okay.
And you were muted for all that.
And it was brilliant.
It looked brilliant.
Thank you. Let's move on.
So just in summary, looking at our 6th to 8th grade, that's declined slightly from last year. 9th through 12th looks about the same as it did. And then we will be sending you a more detailed report, but our English learners, Native American, socioeconomic, homeless, and male students continue to, and this was the same as at progress reports, receiving higher rates than all other students. So we'll share that more broken down data next time.
Okay, so reopening, very exciting topic. I echo everyone's echo everyone's comments in how much everyone has been doing to try and get schools reopened. It's not a simple process, for sure. We did attach our COVID safety plan to this board agenda item, so you can see the final version. I'm very happy to say that our plan was approved, and the numbers that public health is looking at, the number is 17.4 cases, and so we are on target to reopen on Tuesday. And I talked about who's coming back so we can move forward off that slide. But I am so grateful, and we really have just been trying to remove barriers. We have some amazing partners in our city, in our county, who helped make all of that happen. The city of Ukiah, public health, county of Mendocino, all of those groups helped us to get our staff vaccinated. And as our staff members said earlier, that really is part of the key to getting people back. So we're excited about that. We have a really good concrete plan, and we feel like we are ready, and we have all of our safety precautions in place. It was a super interesting, we did a training today on how to administer the Bind Next Now COVID test, and I participated in that training, and I'm ready to help administer that as I'm needed. And we have teams who will be administering those tests in our schools for staff and students. So we've talked about what the hybrid program is going to look like. So I'm gonna just kind of forward through some of these. We've broken this out. This is a little bit easier for parents to understand about what things will look like. So in elementary and TK through 6, on Monday and Tuesday, students will be coming to school in person from about 8 to 12. And then the group B will be doing at-home distance learning. And then the special day class students will be at school in-person learning. So our special day class students will be coming to school 4 days a week, and we're excited about that. And then of course we are offering distance only for any family who wants distance only work. And then on Wednesdays, we will be doing all distance learning across the district. So we're doing an A/B hybrid schedule. So Katie, go ahead and scroll. We wanted to share with the board our numbers of which, by school site. At Calpella, we have 294 students who want to participate in the hybrid program and 187 who want distance only. Frank Zeke, we have 305 for hybrid, 113 for distance only. Grace Hudson, 244 for hybrid, 189 for distance. Nokomis, 231 for hybrid, distance 157. Oak Manor has 167 for the hybrid, 314 for distance. Eagle Peak, and remember, this is just for 5th grade at this point, 5th and 6th grade. We have 148 for the hybrid, 90 for distance. And at Pomalita, 6th grade, we have 150 who want hybrid and 56 with distance. So you can see the split there in the district, and we are ready to go on Tuesday. And I cannot wait to start my day at the bus barn and see our buses roll out on Tuesday morning. It's going to be really exciting. So I'm super grateful to everyone. Katie, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yep.
Can I go back to that slide? I was just looking at the numbers overall. It looks like our enrollment is down quite a lot. And for instance, Frank Zeke, usually for the last few years has had around 500 kids. This is barely over 400. I was just looking at that and somewhat concerned.
Yes, so our enrollment is down this year, especially at the elementary schools. The middle schools and the high schools have been stable, but we found that our enrollment is down in transitional kindergarten and kindergarten across the district at every school site. So we're hoping those students come back and maybe their families just decided to keep them home because we were doing distance learning. So, but they are definitely down across the district, Carolyn.
Okay, I mean, considerably down in some places, 20% or so.
Most are down. Most of our elementary schools are down. I'm going to approximate this, and it's not every elementary school, but about 30 to 40
students.
Yes.
Students.
And Deb, I just realized we're missing Ukiahs, so we'll add Ukiahs on there and get that to you.
Yeah, and this also doesn't, Katie, does this include our SDC students? Yeah, so Carolyn, in this number, our SDC students are not in here. So
that would be no more than probably 10 a school.
It's a little bit more than that. It's probably close to 18 to 20 or so, depending on the school and the program.
I would,
and that coupled with the TK and K reduction, you know, it's 50 to 60.
I wouldn't be surprised, Carolyn. I'm just from parents I know. I mean, I think the schools have been sort of frantically figuring this out in the last couple of days. It's possible some undecided students may not be showing up here yet, if you weren't quite sure what they were doing.
I think this account, Katie, doesn't this account for every student?
It should. We got these numbers from our school sites, so we'll double check them and we'll make sure you have the right ones.
Can I ask a quick question, Deb? I know early on, and I know we've had to survey parents over and over again as things, you know, changed. But early on, there was a message that the message I thought to parents was that if you chose distance learning, you wouldn't necessarily have the opportunity to change your mind later. Is that still the case, or do we have room if somebody decides later on that they either are able to figure out transportation or are now comfortable with it, they could switch back into hybrid?
If we have, absolutely. And I mean, like at Oak Manor, you know, their hybrid program numbers are really small. So, you know, they'll have some space there. So it kind of just depends.
So these numbers could change over time.
It could. And we have a magical transportation department. And we were really worried that we were not going to be able to transport every student who wanted transportation. And right now with K6, it's super close, but we think we're going to be able to transport every student who has indicated that they want transportation.
Oh, good.
So
I'm glad to hear that.
Yes. Katie, go ahead and scroll.
Thank you.
Oh, I already talked about transportation. We've talked about food. By the way, we've served over 2.2 million meals since last March. Our food service staff is remarkable. They're out there every week, and I'm really appreciative. This week they gave out some little Valentine's stuffies to go with the food. So they just kind of figure out how to do something special for our kids almost every time. And we do have our transportation people out still delivering food to families who are quarantined. And I'm, again, really grateful. So go ahead, Katie. I talked about transportation. Again, with 7 through 12, we have to be in the red tier and they have to stay that way for 5 days. This is not a choice that we're making as a school district. I know some questions have come up about why are we not opening grades 7 through 12? This is the state requirement. And so we are waiting to get into the red tier. And you'll see that once the county goes into the red tier, we have to stay in the red tier for 5 days. And as soon as we can open, we will be ready. Not next week, because we're going to be immersed in getting our elementary kids back. But after we kind of get settled with that, our secondary schools are going to start doing what our elementary schools have done the last 2 weeks, which is figuring out which students want distance learning, which students want the hybrid model, and we'll be getting that ready. So as soon as we can open to in-person learning for secondary, that we do it. So that's kind of the status there. Vaccinations, again, I'm so grateful to everyone who helped with this. It's been just a great coming together of our community, and we're running at about 76% of our Ukiah Unified staff has been vaccinated. And that's really great. So we continue to, as employees change their mind, we continue to look for opportunities to help get them vaccinated. And again, super grateful to the City of Ukiah, Ukiah Valley Fire Authority, EMS, Mendocino County Department of Public Health, everybody, all the volunteers who helped staff the City of Ukiah vaccination clinics. We've also sent staff to help with vaccination clinics. We will be, I know Adventist Health is gearing up to do some regular vaccination clinics. We've offered up our school sites for non-student days to be used for vaccination clinics. So that's really a great story. So we're excited about that. Katie, I did most of the talking. I'm so sorry. I'm on a roll.
It's okay. You were doing great.
And again, I can't thank the board enough for your support with everything that you have done to really advocate for getting our students back to school in person. And we believe strongly that we have a really solid plan. Our plan has been approved by public health. I know we'll have a few bumps here and there, and our staff has been incredibly flexible over the past 11 months. We encourage everyone to continue to be flexible. I did notify our partners that there may be some school traffic that the community is not used to. So we want to, Katie, can you stop sharing the screen for a sec? We just want to remind the community to be careful of kids out on their bicycles and in crosswalks again, and just to be patient with traffic. Every school who we've talked to, they have shared with us that the drop off and the pickup takes a lot longer than normal times. We have more kids being driven to school. They're not carpooling. All of those pieces are in place. So just urging everybody to be patient with any traffic that we might cause.
I see Trustee Nelson and then Trustee Milgaard.
First of all, I want to thank you specifically for really representing the district and getting our staff vaccinated. I think it's incredibly important. And thank you for that. I know I know you were on a mission, and you did really good. Thank you very much. On that note, I know that folks that choose not to get vaccinated, if in fact that they convict, if they get COVID while working and it's proven, it's on our dime. And I'm wondering if there's any legislation that you know about that will release us from that liability at this point.
There is not. There have been attempts, but there is not.
And do you know if there's any conversation about making this one of the mandatory vaccinations like the other 7 that currently we have to take?
I am not aware of any, Tyler, Trustee Nelson, but I do not know.
Tyler's awesome, and I am really excited about the 76% that were blessed enough to be able to stand in line and get vaccinated. Thank you to the City of Ukiah and all the rest of the folks that helped out with that. I think it's fabulous, and I would encourage anybody who can to get a shot in the arm. It's really important, not just for the schools, but for the entire world. So we need to take care of each other.
Trustee Milgaard.
I was just wondering if we could do some radio ads paid with COVID money or PSAs, but if you pay for a little, you get a lot more, about this, warning people about the traffic coming up in the next 2 weeks, just on our local stations, you know. And then my other question was, do you need any help with volunteers or anything for traffic control that day? Do you want to put extra people on it, or do you have enough people who aren't doing other jobs that you don't need board members showing up with a yellow vest on? But we'll be there if you need us.
Anne wants a yellow vest.
I kind of want the yellow vest.
You know, we do have our crossing guards, and the school sites have a really good plan. That the challenge for us really is we're trying to preserve those stable groups on our campuses.
Right.
No,
right.
it is just so hard for people because our campuses are very open. Parents are used to being able to come onto campus, and we just are really limiting visitors to the campus. So I think they're good. They've and I'm hoping the balance of the smaller numbers of kids on campus at a time will help kind of balance out that traffic.
You know, that would be even good to put in the PSA too, because there's a lot of people who aren't clued in. And so we can not only ask for the public's patience, but say the reason it's taking a little longer is because we're being so careful with our restrictions and, you know, stuff like that. I mean, I think it could be cute with a little bus in the background. It'll be sweet. Thank you.
Yep. Yes, it'll be very exciting, and I'm sure we'll learn a lot in the next few weeks, and we'll make modifications as we have over the last 11 months. And I'm just super excited.
Trustee Arkin.
Deb, I just wanted to thank you and your staff for a wonderful and hard job you guys have done. I really appreciate it. I'm very proud of how hard you have worked, what you've done, and people in general who have been negative that I've seen are even feeling good about this, and they're not even, some of them, involved actually, but just the whole idea of the kind of work you guys have put in, I really want to thank you. It was tough. I really got annoyed. I won't say it nasty, but you did a great job. All of you guys did, and
Yeah, it's a really UTA, CSEA, all of our administrators, our agencies. I mean, it's just such a nice coming together, and it feels very good that how everybody worked so hard together. I wish we could send everybody on a massive vacation, and I know we can't, but everybody deserves it. You know, people are pretty fatigued at this point, and we've just been working so hard to try and remove barriers.
Great. Any other trustee comments here? So I'll just very briefly, Superintendent Cuban and Katie and Nicole and Steve still on there. I'm really proud of you guys. I'm really proud that we're the first district going back in person in Mendocino County. That's awesome. So I'm really excited. I'm happy even like, 1 week before everybody else still is awesome. So thank you for all that work. And I do just want to say, for the benefit of the public too, that we probably will have some snags along the way, and there may be a child or two who shows up positive, and we will handle that. And I just want to make sure that we're also knowing that things will happen. I have confidence you'll all handle it. Any business place in Mendocino County that's had small outbreaks have handled it. It might happen, and we'll all be fine too. So I just want to know, like, it's going to be exciting. It's going to be great. Things will happen, and I'm going to be super confident that you'll be able to handle it when it does happen as well. So. Superintendent Cuban.
One last thing, I just really, our school site administrators right now, our principals, assistant principals, they are working their tails off to get things going for Tuesday, and I really appreciate all of their work too. Everything from their safety plans, working with their school staffs, trying to figure out who wants which program, working out transportation. It's just been such an awesome team effort, and I'm really proud of our team too. And I'm really proud to work alongside of all of these wonderful people.
Great. Okay, this was just a presentation. We didn't need to make a motion, so we won't. So for the board, do you want to break or do you want to power through? My guess is we only have about a half an hour left, but I want to respect. So I'm seeing a bunch of blank faces. Does anyone care?
Power through.
You want to power through? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, let's power through. Okay. So that was item D3. We're done with that. Did you already say this? Because I ran out to get, okay. So we're not doing item E1, and we're moving to item E2.
Great, thank you and good evening. So this is a rather mundane item when compared to all the exciting things we've just been talking about, but we're going to make a very small property line adjustment out at the Redwood Valley Outdoor Education Project property with one of the neighbors. And when I say small, I had to go look this up because I don't know how small 5/100ths of an acre is. It turns out a high school basketball court is 4,200 square feet. 0.05 5/100ths of an acre is half of that. So it's half of a basketball court we're adjusting out there, just in case you were wondering. It's just going to clear up the property line, make it a little easier for access for one of the neighbors, put some trees in the right places, puts their buildings in the right places. And it's just a good thing to get done. And this has been hanging out, I think, for a couple of years now, trying to get this one wrapped up. So we're pleased to finally get this one done.
Okay. Any questions on this property line adjustment? Trustee Nelson, are you just slightly moving your hand or are you raising it? No, okay. All right, can we have a motion to approve the resolution number 15, the authorizing the acceptance and recordation of a quitclaim deed?
I so move.
Is there a second? Trustee Nelson, I saw that. Sorry, Susan, but I got Nelson first. So moved by Trustee Mulgard, seconded by Trustee Nelson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I see all ayes. Any abstentions? Nope. Any noes? Okay, unanimously approved motion.
Great,
That was
thank
item
you.
E2. Okay, so the remainder of section E are a whole bunch of first readings of revised board policies. Typically, this is in response to changes in state law. Almost always. Is that the case for all of these?
That is correct.
Okay, and is there anything here we should be especially paying attention to?
I think they're pretty minor.
Okay, and if I remember, this is a first reading that we don't approve.
That's correct. So if you have anything between now and the next meeting, just give us an email and we'll make any suggested changes.
Okay, or if there's any comments or questions about any of these board policies, this is items E3 through E15, now would be the time to raise them. I'm looking at all of you and not seeing any concerns. So no motions are required. And we're going to move to item F1, Superintendent's Report.
I think I gave it.
Okay.
You know, that's what we've been doing, all things COVID, and I think I've sufficiently spoken, and I'm just really grateful. And I've been an educator for quite some time now, and I always look forward to the first day of school. Always, it gives me such excitement, and I feel like I'm going to be overcome with emotion on Tuesday when I am able to, from a distance, see all those kids coming to school again.
Yeah, I actually wish I could kind of be on campus in a yellow vest, but I won't. But it would. I'm pretty excited, even though my kids are too old to go back yet. I'm still really excited to hear that, and the parents that I've spoken to are really excited as well. They're, you know, more importantly, their kids are super excited. Yeah. Maybe more excited than the parents. So, but that's what matters the most. So.
And Superintendent, we have no doubt that you will be overcome with emotion. There's no doubt.
Item F2, board members report. Does anyone have anything to add knowledge to the board? Superintendent, Trustee Nelson.
I know the county is working very hard. To my knowledge, the last time I checked, all of the COVID related signups that are happening for the various populations that are allowed to do that are in English. If you have any connections with the Latino population, I think it's really important just to assist or educate as much as you can. So that population, which has just been hammered in our community by COVID, has the same opportunities that those of us that speak English do. So if you have a connection with that community, make sure and educate and assist, please.
Thank you. Trustee Mulgard?
In that case, let me just use the opportunity to share the call center number for County of Mendocino, 472-2759. And there is scheduled, at least, unless somebody gets sick, there's always a scheduled person who speaks Spanish answering that phone 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. and they'll be able to tell you, oh, now you can sign up. Now there's no more signups. The only reason there won't be signups is if we don't have the vaccine. Every vaccine that comes in, we get it out that very same week.
Any other trustees with any comments? Okay. Item G1 is student expulsions and readmissions. We do have one readmission. May I have a motion to readmit student AA-00-00-2021?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by trustee Barrett. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? And any noes? Okay, we're happy to welcome back student number AA-00. I don't know. Okay, the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Thank you, trustee Nelson. Any second? Come on, somebody second the consent agenda. Thank you. Thank you, trustee Fernandez. Okay. Moved by trustee Nelson, seconded by trustee Fernandez. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Any abstentions? And no no's. Okay, so that we are done with our meeting. We just need to do agenda planning. Who did it last time?
I did.
Carolyn, was it you, Tyler, as well, or was it Susan? It was Susan, I think. Was it?
Yes.
Yeah. So you guys take a little pass, and who's interested?
I haven't done it in probably 5 months, 6 months.
Okay.
What day are we looking at?
I don't know.
We're looking at Tuesday, March the 2nd at noon.
So we have, so I'm being a bad board president. I'm supposed to slightly keep track of this and I keep forgetting. So I'm going to have trustee Fernandez and then B and Tyler, which of you?
Tyler, do you need to do it because you have other goodies? Okay, let Tyler.
Okay, and I'm going to keep track of it in the future. B, you're up next, B. Let's remember that.
Yeah,
and probably Ann. Okay.
We'll keep track of it too. Don't worry.
Yeah, well, I'll write it down eventually. So we've got trustee Nelson and Fernandez for March 2nd at noon. Is that what it is?
Yes. Yes.
You got that, Debbie? Okay.
Yes.
Okay, I think I'm ready to entertain a motion to adjourn unless any trustees have any other business they'd like to bring up. Trustee Nelson?
I am sorry for being so lazy, but does that make our board meeting on the 11th?
Yes.
Thank you.
March 2nd, that's a Tuesday.
March 11th is the board meeting and March 2nd is the agenda planning.
Okay. All right, can I entertain a motion to adjourn? Thank you. Trustee Asbury, motion.
Wait. I have a question.
Okay.
I didn't understand what Deb O sent about the May 6th, 15th through 19th. That was confusing. That where Tyler's going to be?
Debbie, you want to explain that? I think it's the CSBA something.
Yeah, that's CSBA.
Yeah, that's it. The CSBA
Legislative Action Week.
Debbie, you cut off for some reason.
Is it just on Zoom and?
It is virtual, yes.
It's virtual. And is it an all-day thing every day?
I don't know all of those details. It is a full
You what,
week.
Deb? I'll call you. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's a good plan. B, caller. I'll tell her. All right, so can we have a motion to adjourn? I saw trustee Asbury motion moves to adjourn, seconded by trustee Nelson.
To adjourn. I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. And all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're adjourning at 8:10.